In this golf lesson, I'm going to go through a 3-step process to get you hitting your driver better, whether it's a little bit longer or a little bit straighter. Now, we've probably all hit shots like these, the shot where we slice it out to the right and it goes carving out of bounds or into the trees, or shots like this that we see diving low and left, or generally just bad driver shots. And it's not enjoyable. We don't want to be doing that. We want to be hitting shots like this one that hopefully at the end of this video, through this 3-step process, you're going to be able to hit. We want to be hitting it straighter, we want to get a little bit more height on it, and we want to get a little bit more distance, just general consistency. And the first thing in this process that we need to do is understand where we strike it. So you're going to need a couple of things for this lesson, dead easy to get hold of. And the first thing is club spray, because what we want to do, if we're going to hit our drivers better, we need to understand where we're striking it from, because we can work on our golf swings, but if I'm hitting it out of the top, the bottom, the heel or the toe, however I swing that golf club isn't going to help me, because the driver will actually have an adverse effect on the flight of the golf ball. So all I want you to do is just put a light little dusting of spray on your face. So then as you start to go and practice down at the driving range or on your practice tee, I want you to monitor where you are getting the golf ball from. Like I say, is it toe, is it heel, is it low, is it high? Because as we swing the golf club and we start to hit the club, we'll start to notice that we have a common theme. You might be someone who hits it a little bit toey. You might be like me, I generally get it a little bit low heel, and I know if I'm going too much down there, what I need to do to correct my golf swing. So first thing I want you to do is just actually hit a shot here and monitor where you actually strike the golf ball. So set up, we're going to make a golf swing. And that one, perfect. I know I've hit that bad. It's diving a little bit left and a resultant hook came out there. And as we can see, it's a little bit too toey for my liking. So I want to try and get that a little bit more central. You might be someone who is on the other scale, like a heel or a top and a toe or a bottom. And what I want you to do, this is all about awareness, this sort of first part of the process. There are a multitude of ways why you will be hitting it out of different locations. But what we can do, whether even if it's in a net at home and you're hitting some golf balls, what I want you to try and do is just actually start to figure out where that common strike is for yourself, and then I want you to try and get it a little bit more back towards the center. The reason I got that one a little bit toey then was because I wrapped my hands through impact a little bit more, and if I do that, if you just come in close here for me, what happens is, if we think of just hovering the golf club, if I rotate my hands, look which part of the club is going to meet that golf ball first, and vice versa. If I went the opposite way, which a lot of slicers do, because what happens there, you get the heel towards it. So have a think about that. When you're making your golf swing, think about how your hands feel through impact. Do you feel that you're holding the club and you get this chicken wing like feel through it with a holding release? Or do you feel that you get a sort of flippy release as you go through it, and that leads more towards that toe strike? Once you're aware of this, you've started monitoring where the strike is with a little bit of spray, you can then work towards correcting it. So for me now, like I said a moment ago, I felt like I flipped that one through impact. So on this one, I'm going to feel like I hold the club face a little bit more through the impact zone. I held it a tiny bit, and you know what? It's got ever so slightly better here. It's got a little bit higher, and I tried holding it as much as I can, and I've moved it slightly, but I need to work on that. I did feel a little bit of flipping there. So that is the first step of the process that I want you to go through. Try and actually understand and analyze where your strike is, because if we don't know where that is, as we move on to step 2 and 3, it's not really going to matter at all. Before we get into the second tip, I want you to get better at golf and I want you to start hitting this driver better. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the future free lessons that you get here on the channel. Let's get into the second bit of this process. Step number 2 is all about our angle of attack. One of the things that we're hearing a lot about nowadays is hitting up on the golf ball, almost a little bit of a secret to good driving. All the good players are hitting up on it. And we do need to do that, because what I would see from a lot of people is when they come into the lesson bay with me, the top line of the driver is scratched and scuffed because we're hitting down on it. We're actually getting something where the club, as it comes into the golf ball, is actually still hitting down into the ground and then ascending up after it's hit the golf ball. We want the club to be ascending upwards as it hits the golf ball. So what we need to make sure, and it's real simple, is that we get a good setup. Because of my driver, when I start to actually hit this one straighter, I've got to make sure, or I want to hit my driver in general, I want to get the ball a little bit more up the front of my stance. So what we would see is that as I now address the golf ball here and I have a line running up towards my lead foot, as I do that and I reach forwards, my shoulders on the angle down here are actually aiming more left than they should be. They're not running parallel to my ball to target line, simply because I'm searching for the ball this way. So I start to move the ball that way. So what I've got to make sure when I do that is that I don't have my shoulders looking down the left-hand side. I've got to feel that they are parallel. And notice as I do that, if you can see the zipper on my jacket now, if I actually get them parallel, notice that it actually tilts. So we get the sternum almost pointing down towards the ground this way. When I get my shoulders parallel, I start to get the sternum almost pointing back up behind the golf ball. And that is going to really help us with our angle of attack. So don't get into the habit of getting the ball in the good position, but then almost addressing it looking something like this. We want to feel like we're tilted behind that golf ball as we stand to it. So make sure, A, you've got the correct tee height, get that ball off that lead foot, and then feel that you almost are pointing your shoulders and your hips down the right-hand side of the fairway for a right-handed player. And that then will help me start to actually feel that I'm sweeping the golf ball off the tee a little bit more. And as I'm just having these little rehearsals here, notice that I'm hanging back behind the golf ball. I'm not getting down in front of it. I'm going to feel that I hang back and sweep it up into the air as I go through it. So if I get this one correctly, we should see again a bit of a better golf shot, because I've got my shoulders parallel. I know what my common strike is today. I'm going to feel that I sweep it up. And there, I've hit that nice and straight. And come and have a look at the strike. As we go through here, we're starting to get somewhere closer towards that middle now. The third and final phase actually links into that. When I move this golf ball up towards the front side of my stance, what actually happens, if we think of the golf club or the golf swing as a big circle, when I swing it around my body, the more that I'm moving towards the target side of my swing, I'm actually moving around towards the left. So obviously the most common shot we see is a slice, or then we would probably see more of a pull hook as well. And that's all because the club is swinging a little bit too much to the left as we go through it. So real simple thing that I want you to do. I want you to, again, make sure you've got your little bit of spray on the club face. Make sure that we've got that tee in the right place. But from there then, I want you to take 2 of your alignment canes. And what we're going to do, we're going to place them down our target line. So first cane here, down where I intend the golf ball to go. so I can see it pointing down the centre of the fairway. And then my second cane, I'm going to place about 2 feet out in front, and I'm actually going to point it off and out of the ground a little bit up to the right, like so. And the idea for this is that as I now swing this golf club, I'm going to have a couple of practice swings, and my feeling, and it will feel very odd once I've got my good setup, is that actually I get the club working up this cane to the right hand side of my target line. What I don't want to feel is that I'm swinging down and across and inside my target line. I want to feel that I'm swinging out and up the cane on the right hand side here. So that's going to give me a path that's now working more right hand side of the target as opposed to the left. Combine that with a good angle of attack and awareness of my strike and my club face, and I'm on the road to hitting better tee shots. So let's see if we can just combine those together. And that is, even if you can't put this one in the ground like I have here on a grass tee, even at the driving range, just setting this little channel up where you can see a vector for the golf ball to, the club to swing down, that's going to give you such a good visual aid to allow you to hit better golf shots. So I've got my ball at the right height, I've got it in the right part of my stance, I've set myself up, and then here I'm going to feel like I'm swinging out towards this right hand side. And there, a nice little draw down the centre of the fairway. So I've gone from a big slice into the trees off at the right at the start of the lesson to just getting that tiny little bit of a draw. It's higher, it's longer, and it's more in play. And the more you can practice these feelings and understand those three things, how you are hitting it relevant to the club face, how you're hitting it on the up, and where that club is traveling, you're going to crack the secrets to better driving. So make sure you're going through those three things, go through that process, and we're going to see shots like that more frequently when you're out on the golf course. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this lesson as well. Do remember to subscribe to the channel. I want you to be a better golfer, and you're going to do that by joining me for your free lessons. Hit it, and I'll see you in your next lesson.